buddy Rich Wills, we have a long-standing history of working in the feet world and running world together, and just corresponding and also being pals. But Rich owns a local store here, Fitnitch, and then he also, there's two more, right? Like Hyde Park.
Right. No, Brandon and Wesley Chapel.
And Wesley Chapel. So Fitnitch has spread out, and probably if you live here in Lakeland, you know about Fitnitch and have been there, but you may not have been there recently, and you may not know about how their philosophy has also evolved over the years, just like mine here in the fitness world has evolved. As we learn more and we know better, we do better. And the research teaches us more. So I thought we might talk about shoes today with someone. So we have lots of runners here in the Haka world, and I have not been in the running world for a long time. I'm stepping back into it slowly, a lot slower. But I've been in the fitness world, so I thought we would talk about shoes that work, why we like them, have some conversation about maybe, we don't have to agree on everything. There's lots of philosophies on stuff, and I think it's good for people to hear why we think the things we do, and then we have smart people.
Yeah,
they can make their own
undoubtedly.
decisions. So you brought some shoes with you today, and we're going to talk about some different shoes, and just let's start at the top, and then I think that'll start some conversation. And we'll try to be short-winded, but both Rich and I are known for lots of talking. This is my very favorite shoe.
This is Rebecca's favorite shoe. It's the Escalante from Ultra.
Shout out to Joe for getting me hooked on it.
Yep. It's got two key characteristics that are wonderful about it. Number one is a zero drop. So if you like that minimalist feel, most shoes are built on a downhill slant. This shoe is not. It's got the same stack height in the back as it does in the front. It's low and close to the ground. It's great for some side-to-side lateral movement, working out. It gives you a little more stability because it's so low to the ground. But just as important, it's got this big, broad toe box. It's anatomically shaped to the
It has a lot of give, too. This fabric has a lot of give.
Yeah. So this is like the shape of an actual foot.
To the bottom.
A lot of shoes are shaped like the feet, like I think that shoe designers wish we had, but this one is shaped just like an actual foot.
So let's talk about zero drop for a second. Is zero drop for everyone?
No, it's not. Zero drop is the way you would walk barefoot if we all ran around barefoot in the woods all of the time. But we live in a man-made world where it's uniformly hard, super hard, flat surfaces that we walk and run on most of the time. So having a little bit of a downhill slant allows the shoe to give you a little more cushion where most people first strike and land, which is in the heel.
So I will say that zero drop is great for like in your day-to-day life. Like this shoe, if I'm going to Disney World, there's no question in mind, there's no other shoe I'm gonna wear. This is the most comfortable shoe in the entire world that has ever been made for anyone ever. And then I'm gonna be on that zero drop, but I'm also gonna have that great cushion to protect me from the concrete. 100% that's the shoe I'm gonna wear.
Yeah, that's what I wear around day to day.
Yeah, but I also want to just point out on this zero drop, it's a big trend right now. And well, I mean, it's been a trend, but I feel like it's had a resurgence recently.
It has.
Yeah, and I just feel like it's important to caution people. If you've been running in a regular running shoe or using a regular running shoe for all of your activities, if you're going to try and do something zero drop, number one, use it in the gym first, because that way you're going to get strong first. We always want to get strong before we go long, right? That's what I like to teach my runners. Go get strong, then go long, and so you'll get strong first. If you're only a runner and you don't do this silly gym stuff, start with it on very short runs. And short doesn't mean 3 to 5 miles, I don't think.
No. And the reason for that is because when you run in a shoe that's got a little bit of stack height to it, then your Achilles is shortened. It doesn't have to stretch as far. And when you go to a zero drop shoe, your Achilles has to go further than it's used to been going ever. And you can cause some additional soreness, some injury, definite calf strain if you don't work your way into it.
So don't go buy the shoe and go do your next speed workout.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. And we'll guide you, the people at Fitness will guide you if you're trying to make that shift.
We'll give you some tips on how much you should do at a time.
Yeah. I also love this as a trail shoe, except it's too pretty to get dirty. So that's the other thing.
So the other thing about stack height too, as long as we're talking about it, is most of the major shoe manufacturers have some traditional stack heights that are like 14, 16 millimeters. really tall downhill slant. That means there's 14 millimeters of difference between the height of the heel and the height of the front of the shoe. Saucony discovered, and a lot of other shoe companies have followed suit, that if you reduce it to 8, almost anybody can go to a stack height of 8 millimeters, which is less of a downhill slant without any soreness or
And that downhill slant is really important. That downhill slant is part of what shortens the calf, which leads to plantar fasciitis. But what a lot of people don't realize is that when you're in that high-heeled position, your entire body is shifted, and actually that can show up as neck pain. So when someone comes in with neck pain, one of the first things we do is stretch their calves here. Because that calf shortness. So think of like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, right? So your neck with each step in high heels or even an elevated shoe takes a slight whipping action with each step. And then when your neck is already floored from working on a computer, that gets exacerbated.
Yeah.
All right, the next shoe. We gotta go faster on the other shoes. In other words, go get the Escalante. Don't always run in it. Wear it all the other times.
Polka. Everyone's heard of Polka by now. They're the fast ascending, fast mover in the industry. It's a big super cush plush shoe. It looks like it'd be heavy, but it's actually as lighter than most of the shoes. They have proprietary foam. They put a ton of it in here. It's like marshmallow. So if soft is what you really love and want, this shoe's got a couple of nice characteristics. It is super soft. It's plenty wide. It's built on almost a straight last, so it's a neutral shoe, but it has a little bit of stability to it, almost on accident, but because they
Sounds
build
like
up.
a good all-around shoe.
It
For
is.
anyone who's just running a few miles, doesn't have some major issues or anything like that.
Yeah.
I've never tried the Hokas, but I have lots of clients that love them.
And it looks like a big stack height in the back, but it's actually, I think this one is 4 millimeters. It's actually fairly low. They're
That
4
is
to 8
low.
typically, and it's built on a rocker. So it's got when you put it on, you really have never felt anything quite like it. It's worth trying on. It's not for everybody, but it is for a lot of people. Comfort's really, reigning supreme in the store right now. We guide people to their biomechanically correct shoes, but ultimately comfort trumps everything.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because someone who might have come to FitNiche 7 years ago, it was all about pronation, supination, all that. So you guys still do that process, and I think that's a valid process to know for yourself. But how is it different than what it was 7 years ago?
Well,
The process, if you come in.
if you come in, we're gonna do the basics, like what we did what happened 200 years ago. Measure you with a Brannick device and get that accurate measurement of your foot. We're gonna assess your foot visually. We're gonna watch your biomechanics like we used to on the treadmill to see how much you overpronate or don't. But there's a whole lot of other variables that go into the mix, and so we want to know about your training routine. Are you a new runner? Are you an experienced runner? What's your history of injuries? These are all telltale cues and signs. Some people who overpronate don't need as much stability as we used to think that they needed.
They need to come to Haka and be strengthened.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you're, for instance, somebody who shows up and we see, hey, you overpronate quite a bit, but we also find out you've never been injured, why do we want to try to fix something that's not ever been broken? It still lines up as a good rule of thumb. The more you overpronate, the more you stress and tendency you have to be injury prone.
Yeah, that's true. We are definitely in agreement on that.
But it's not just black and white as we used to kind of dictate from that look at the.
Sure, but I also think too, it's important to note that if you're new to running, your likelihood of pronating is more, and as you run more often, it's worth it to go through the process again, because you probably, if you started running with any kind of consistency, you probably have started pronating less, just by your body getting
we
used to
naturally
that.
get more efficient. We naturally
efficient.
find our own planes of motion that are most efficient for our bodies.
Right.
The more we use them. But when you first start off, everything's weak.
And support. Get that support when you first start off.
We don't like little weaklings in this place.
That's right. All right, what you got next?
All right, this is a traditional shoe that we're gonna. It used to have dual density midsole materials, and they've taken that out and given you just a nice soft. It's a traditional shoe, traditional
Brooks
stack height.
has always been good to me.
Brooks is I cannot say that Brooks is the best shoe for everybody, but they're the best company out there right now. Brooks and New Balance are just doing so many right things.
I'm running my long runs in New Balances right now.
And what's cool is they're both homegrown American companies, and they're doing all the right things.
I will say this. So back when I used to wear Brooks and I used to train for marathons and I used to do all that, I wore shoes all the time. And then now, as my philosophy has changed, and I wear a lot of minimal stuff with very wide toe boxes, my feet have spread a lot. And I have a difficult time finding a traditional shoe that's wide enough. That's why I love those Escalantes so much, because they seem to cater. Yeah, they spread out. It's like, I mean, my toes really spread, and my toes work differently now than they used to work. I think they used to not work, honestly.
Yeah.
Which is why I had more injuries.
Absolutely. That's
And
why
now-
those little toe socks that we sell too are kind of cool for people in shoes, because you feel your toes and you'll feel what your toes are doing, ironically, with little toe socks on. Just brings some height and awareness to what they're supposed to be doing, which is having enough room to spread out in the front of the shoe and send propriocepting.
Proprioceptive.
Did I say that wrong?
Yeah. I
Send
knew
balancing messages up to your
Balancing
brain,
messages.
and then the brain tells them to move independently to kind of help
it
stabilize.
sounds like what my counseling sessions are like. Balancing messages to my brain. So yeah, I loved Brooks for a long time. Brooks doesn't work for me anymore, but it works for a lot of people. It's a great shoe for someone who's starting out, is Brooks.
Yeah, and they replaced, we used to have lots of shoes with 2 different densities of midsole material.
Yeah.
People are going away from that now, and they're building kind of like these little plastic guide rail type things, they call them, and that instead of just like shoving the foot in a different direction, they're guiding.
Gentle guidance.
Yeah.
Again, this is like counseling.
Yes.
Gentle guidance.
This is on, so
Lots of people are wearing those these days.
they're so fashion forward, and people love them, and they're the other fastest ascending big mover in the market right now. I love to tell the story about On. You know, we were the first store in the country to bring in On. And On is a Swiss shoe, it's Swiss engineered. They say they write on all their shoes someplace they write Swiss engineered, but it's actually born on the streets of Fort Lauderdale on A1A.
Oh, fun.
When a shoe engineer, designer, was out running every day. He had a bum knee, and he found that when he ran on the side of the road with the sugar sand from the beach, his knee pain went away. And when he ran on the other side of the road, it came back. And he likened that, or attributed that to, because when his foot would land, he'd get a little forward cushioning, a little forward slide before his foot would lock up and push off again. So they built these cavernous lugs to not only provide vertical cushioning, but horizontal cushioning. They kind of give a little bit, let your foot slide into that locked position before pushing up.
I like that.
Yeah.
I have not tried those on either, but I've seen a lot of the runners
No pun
wearing
intended,
them.
right?
Yeah. But I've seen a lot of the runners wearing those lately. It doesn't look like it has quite as wide, which for me is a big thing.
Yeah.
We've talked about that for me before. You
Yeah.
had to really help me find some shoes that would fit
That's
my
right.
wide feet.
This Cloud Tech is fairly wide. It's got a lot of volume, and it's not just the width of the shoe oftentimes that we're working with. So it's the total amount of volume that your foot takes up. So
Oh yeah, because if you have like a tall foot, then
Yeah.
it can eat up this way. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that do that.
yeah. So
All right, tell me about this other shoe. This is a new company I'm
It's
liking what I'm
361. We're
hearing.
really happy about this company. They're new to us. They're new to the country, actually. And if you loved ASICs a long time ago, but don't love ASICs so much now because a lot of things change with ASICs, this is a shoe worth trying on. Super light. It's super traditional.
I feel like I remember ASICs having a little bit more arch inside of it. Did it?
Some of them did. Their neutral shoes did.
Yeah, I remember
So,
that. Yeah. Have a little more so you could like actually feel it up against the arch of your foot. A lot of people like that.
There's some of that in here too. But this is kind of a shoe that's built it's built on the premise of yesteryear's ASICs. A lot of the executives from ASICs.
But looking a lot cooler.
Yeah, looking way cooler. Left came here. So for people who loved ASICs or haven't been super happy with ASICs because ASICs has changed dramatically over the last few years,
Yeah.
this is the new stand-in.
We'll have to try that on
Yep.
in the store.
Good
I
stuff.
want to point out this little pair of shoes. So these are Fit Kicks, and I'll put a link in for Fit Kicks. For a while we carried them here at Haka, but I'm not in the shoe business. Go to Rich for shoes.
We need to get these.
Yeah, well, I love these. They're just real floppy.
Can I see one?
Yeah, super floppy. They come in lots of different sizes. They can handle like sweat and wetness and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So they come in different patterns. I just happen to have these because they were left over from the stock that we had, but my black ones. So I just slip them on, and they're really comfortable. I train in the gym in these a lot. if I know I'm not going to be doing anything where I need some traction, because they don't provide a ton of traction. So like if I was doing box jumps or something, I wouldn't wear these because I'm afraid to slip them on the box. But the cool thing is you can just also slip them off really fast.
Yeah.
So slip them off and on, there's not a ton of cushion, you're really getting that feel of the ground. So like if I'm doing squats or something like that, now to be honest, this is my gym, most of the time I'm barefoot, most of the time, regardless.
These are pretty close to barefoot.
These are very, very close to barefoot, but I'm usually like always just barefoot, but a lot of people don't want to be walking around the gym barefoot, they're not comfortable with that, and this is like the next best thing. Or if your gym doesn't let you go barefoot, we let people go barefoot here. But also just like to slip on to like run around with the boys and do stuff. If I'm like somewhere where I'm not on concrete, like these aren't for concrete, obviously. I'm not going to be on concrete, but I don't know the ground, right? We go out to the soccer field and we're going to mess around out there or something. So I don't know the ground. I don't know, is there going to be ants? Is there going to be, you know, somebody's dropped nails or I don't know, anything like that. Dog poop, right. Then I throw these on. Occasionally on like at Holloway, I would jog in these at Holloway.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Because Holloway is so soft and
it's well manicured.
and it's well manicured and everything that I would not jog in these like at Carter Road.
The trails at Holloway are completely predictable. They're
very predictable, manicured. So like, yeah, I love to go barefoot run.
I'd give a shout out to Holloway. A lot of people don't know that we have this jewel in our backyard. And it's right off Highlands Road. It's private land that's been donated and set up for the use
Not
of the public.
open on Monday mornings. I've made that mistake more than once.
Every other day of the week, right?
Every other day.
Yeah.
And they open pretty darn early.
From dawn to dusk.
And so like if you go in on the hiking side, there's like the running side and then the hiking side. So that's where you come in off of Bartow.
Yeah.
Those actually have like landscape lawn. The path is like grass. Like you're like running in your front yard.
The best place to run in the world is on natural surfaces. Is what we were designed to run on. Probably, you know, and I sell shoes for a living, but the best way to be as a human being, if we could live on natural surfaces all the time, would be just as you are now, barefoot.
But you
But it's a man-made world we live in.
Right, and we have to be careful about that too, because even here in the gym, right, this is not a natural surface. I'm barefoot all the time, and my feet will start to act up, and then I have to wear shoes for a few days because I'm on this hard surface all the time. But the other reality is, if you want to train, if you want to run and do those things like that, most of your races are on the road and stuff like that, and you need a good shoe. I'm a proponent of having multiple shoes for multiple purposes. I know it costs.
Every day of the week.
Well,
that's what we say at Fitness.
Yeah, well, it costs a little bit more, but I really think if you want to be an injury-free runner, it's worth that investment. You know, like my Escalantes, I love them. I'm not going to wear those for short, fast speed work. It's just a little bit too loosey-goosey. You know, I wear a more traditional shoe like the Brooks for a longer run or a speed work type thing.
Well, the reason why being barefoot in natural surfaces is the best way to operate is because it doesn't matter what your biomechanical deficiencies are. Almost it doesn't matter. Every footstep's different than the 3,000 that went before.
You never take the same step.
Yeah, you never take the same step, so you end up strengthening the whole infrastructure. When you're on man-made surfaces, every step is just like the 20,000 that came before it. So you end up strengthening a limited subset of your musculature. And if you don't have the perfect gait, you end up finding the weak links in your infrastructure, and they get hammered.
Yeah.
So that's why we spend all the time and effort fitting people correctly for shoes that fit the context of their lives and what they're doing, their history, as well as their biomechanics. But if you, to your point about multiple shoes, if you wear a shoe like this and a shoe like this, and you rotate them, not only do they last longer, the midsole material lasts about 10 to 20% longer, but you recruit your infrastructure of muscles, tendons, and ligaments differently every time.
Different.
So it's that same kind of concept of you're trying to create different sorts of footsteps to make you as strong as possible.
That's right. And then if you have these for other times, then you're really,
I like this.
Yeah, you can really, you can do a lot just with two very different running shoes and this. Did you want to talk about those inserts real quick? Or?
We could. These are performance inserts from Superfeet. A lot of people have heard about Superfeet. We're not pushy on inserts. Inserts really, they can produce a lot of benefits for people. But what we've discovered at the store recently is if people just take the opportunity to try one that's appropriate for them, they oftentimes say, wow, that three-dimensional surface is really fitting my foot better than the two-dimensional shoe.
Right, so
which
kind
is
of like what I was
flat on
talking
the
about,
inside.
feeling that
Mhm.
arch. Some people want to feel that arch.
And it just,
I don't like to feel the arch, but some people really,
yeah,
it works better for them.
we find that 50% of the people, literally 50%, put in an appropriate insert and they go, my God, that feels wonderful. I love this,
Yeah.
and I want that in my shoe.
There was a
So-
time when I would put in an insert and I could tell it felt better, and then I moved away from it, and then I went back to it. So it's like different phases of my life. It's
Yeah.
been useful.
I believe it, but comfort and the big thing that an inserts can do biomechanical things for the foot too, especially the more rigid ones. But and so if you're injured or have a tendency for certain biomechanical deficiencies, then they can be really helpful for a percentage of the population. But the big thing that they do is if they feel great to you, they make you more comfortable. And like we were talking earlier, a lot of research out now that just says, hey, the more comfortable, it's like a dog, but the more comfortable you are, the less likely you are to get injured.
And maybe the more exercise you
The
do.
more exercise you do for certain. But even the smarter that you are too. So the better your feet feel in whatever that they're wearing, athletes make better decisions on the field of play.
Well, because they're not busy thinking about how bad their foot is hurting.
Yeah, maybe so.
They have brain space to think about the other things,
Yeah.
the bigger picture.
But your brain always actually smooth out when you're in more comfortable shoes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming and telling me about the latest and greatest in shoes, because like I said, it's been a while since I've really been into running shoes, and we've been diving into that more around here. If you're interested in learning more about running shoes, you can always go to Fitness. You can find them at Lakeside Village. They're over next to Brass Tap.
Yeah.
And I know you know where Brass Tap is.
Yeah.
And then if you're interested more in learning about some really solid running coaching that's really going about things smart, we have a group called Hopper Runs here. We'd love to have you join that group. And if you want to know more about like training to help your running, we can help.